Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about excretory products and their elimination from chapter 19 CBSE syllabus class 11. Children, animals accumulate ammonia, urea, uric acid, carbon dioxide, water and ions like Na+, C+, Cl, phosphate, sulphate, etc. either by metabolic activities or by other means like excess of ingestion. This substance have to be removed totally or partially. In this chapter, you will learn the mechanism of elimination of this substance, which special emphasis on common nitrogenous waste. Ammonia, urea and uric acid are the major forms of nitrogenous waste excreted by the animals. Ammonia is the most toxic form and requires large amount of water for its elimination, whereas uric acid, being the least toxic, can be removed with a minimum loss of water. On the basis of main excretory products, animals can be divided into three types. One is monotelic, urotelic and ureotelic, etc. Children, now let us discuss about the excretory organs in different organisms. The process of exerting ammonia is ammonotelism. Mainly bonifacious aquatic amphibians and aquatic insects are ammonotelic in nature. Ammonia, as it is readily soluble, is generally excreted by diffusion across body surface or through gill surface as ammonium ions. In humans, primary excretory organs are kidney and accessory excretory organs are lungs, liver, skin and intestine. Our lungs remove large amount of CO2 and also significant quantities of water every day. Liver is the largest gland in our body, secretes bile containing substances like bilirubin, biliverdin, cholesterol, graded steroid hormones, vitamins and drugs. Most of this substance ultimately pass out along with the digestive wastes. Sebaceous glands. The sebaceous glands eliminate certain substances like sterols, hydrocarbons and waxes through sebum. This secretion provides a protective oily covering for the skin. Intestine. Excess salt of calcium, magnesium and ions are excreted by epithelial cells of colon, which means large intestine, along with feces. Children, let us discuss excretory organs in other animals. There are protonephridia, nephridia, Malpighian tubules and antennal glands. Children, kidneys do not play any significant role in its removal. Terrestrial adaptation is the production of lesser toxic nitrogenous waste like urea and uric acid for conservation of water. Mammals, many terrestrial amphibians and marine fishes mainly excrete urea and are called ureotelic animals. Ammonia produced by metabolism is converted into urea in the liver of these animals and released into blood, which is filtered then excreted out by the kidneys. Some amount of urea may be retained in the kidney matrix of some of these animals to maintain a desired osmolarity. Birds and reptiles, land snails and insects excrete nitrogenous wastes as uric acid in the form of pellet or paste with a minimum loss of water and are called uricotylic animals. A survey of animal kingdom presents a variety of excretory structures in most of the vertebrates. These structures are simple tubular forms, whereas vertebrates have complex tubular organs like kidneys. Some of these structures are mentioned here as protonephridia, flame cells, are the excretory structures in platyhelminthes, flatworms, planaria, rotiferous, etc. Some annelids and the cephalocardate amphioxus are primarily concerned with ionic and fluid volume regulation, that is osmoregulation. Nephridia are the tubular excretory structure of earthworm and the other annelids. Nephridia helps to remove nitrogenous wastes and maintain a fluid ionic basis. Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are the excretory structures of most of the insects, including cockroach. Malpighian tubules helps in a removal of nitrogenous wastes and osmoregulation. Antennal glands. Antennal glands or green glands perform the excretory function in crustaceans like prawn. Children, now let us discuss about excretory organs of different organisms in invertebrates. Children, let's first look into phylum Protozoa. These organisms have excretory organs like contactical vacuole, and they excrete ammonia through the function of ammonotilic or osmoregulatory, and organisms comes under these phylums are amoeba and paramecium. Next come to porifera. Poriferas having general body surface to excrete ammonia, and they undergo for the function of ammonotilic. Examples of this phylum are cycon and leucon. Next come to coelenterate. They excrete waste materials through general body surface like ammonia, and they undergo for the function of ammonotilic, and examples of this phylum are hydra. Platyhelminthes have excretory organs like flame cells form the protonephridial system, and they undergo for the function of ammonotilic. Examples of this phylum are Taenia, Fasciola and Planaria. Next come to the phylum Nematoda. They have H-shaped excretory organs, renate cells, and they undergo for the function of ammonotilic, and examples of this phylum are Ascaris. Next come to annelids. Annelids have nephridial system, various type, and they undergo for the function of ammonotilic, and examples of this phylum are Peritema. Now next come to the Arthropoda. Phylum Arthropoda again divided into three classes: Insecta, Crustacea, Arachnidia. Come to class Insecta. These organisms have Malpighian tubules, nephrocytic, uric rose glands for excretion, and they undergo for the function uricotylic, and examples of these phylums are Periplaneta, housefly, mosquito, etc. Now come to the class Crustaceae. They have antennary glands for excretion, and they undergo for the function of uricotylic, and examples of this phylum are Palimon. Now come to the class Arachnidia. They have excretory organs like coxal glands, Malpighian tubules, hepatopancreases, hypocrocytes, and they undergo for the functions of uricotylic, guanine and xanthine in small amount. Examples of this phylum are spider and scorpion. Next come to molluscus. Molluscus are having kidneys or organs of Bollinger's, Krebs organs, renal sacs. They excrete ammonia in aquatic condition and uric acid in terrestrial condition, and they undergo for the function of guanine, aminotilic in aquatic and ureotilic in terrestrial guanine. And examples of this phylum are Unio, Pila, Limax, Sepia, etc. Now next come to echinodermata. Echinodermatas are having dermal branchiae, tube feet, body surface, locomocytes for excretion. They undergo for the function of aminotilic mainly. Examples of cucumeria and asteriasis. Next come to hemichordata. They have glomerulus or proboscis glands for excretion. Even they undergo for the aminotilic function for the excretion. Examples of this phylum are Belanoglassus and Sachoglassus. Now come to urochordata. Urochordates have neural gland, nephrocytes as excretory organs. They undergo for the function of xanthine, uric acid, urotilic, etc. Examples of this phylum are Hardmania. Next come to cephalochordates. Cephalochordates have protonephridia, solenocytes, brown funnel, renal papillae, hat-check nephridia for excretion, and these undergo for the function of aminotilic, and examples of this phylum are Amphioxus, which can also called branchiostoma. Children, now let us discuss about excretory products and their mode of excretion. Amino acids. Amino acids are the end products of protein digestion, absorption in the blood from small intestine. Certain vertebrates like some molluscs and some echinodermates excrete excess amino acids as such, and this is called ammonotilic excretion or ammonotilism. Children, now let us discuss about ammonia. Ammonia is the first metabolic waste of protein metabolism. In most animals, excess amino acids are deaminated, that is, degraded into their keto and ammonia groups. The keto groups are used in catabolism for producing ATP, whereas ammonia is excreted as such or in other forms. Children, now let us discuss about what is ammonotilism. The process of excreting ammonia NH3 directly in the surrounding environment as a process of waste excretion by an organism is called ammonotilism. This process occurs through diffusion across the body surface or gills by passing the need for complex metabolic pathways to convert ammonia into less toxic forms. Ammonotilism requires animals to constantly excrete a large amount of water to maintain proper internal ammonia levels, which may be challenging in terrestrial habitats with limited water availability. Ammonia is highly toxic and highly soluble in water. Its excretion as such therefore requires a large amount of water. That is why most of the aquatic arthropods, bony and freshwater fishes, amphibians, tadpoles, turtles, etc. excrete ammonia. This type of excretion is called ammonotilic excretion or ammonotilism. Hence they are either urotilic or uricotilic. Children, now let us discuss about what is excretion. Excretion is the process by which living organisms remove waste products from their bodies to maintain internal balance. It is essential for removing harmful substance and excess material, ensuring proper functioning of the body. There are different types of excretory systems in animals, including ammonotilism, urotilism, and uricotilism, which involve the excretion of ammonia, urea, and uric acid respectively. This process helps regulate the concentration of nitrogenous waste and maintain osmotic balance within the body. Children, now let us discuss about ammonotilism animals. Ammonotelism animals typically live in aquatic environments where ammonia can be easily diluted and removed. These aquatic animals have specialized structures like gills or diffusion across their body surface to eliminate ammonia. Ammonotelism is advantageous in water-rich environments but requires a large amount of water for effective waste removal. Children, now let us discuss about mechanism of ammonotelism. The ammonotelism is the process by which nitrogenous waste, mostly proteins and amino acids, are transformed into ammonia by the process of deamination. Ammonia, NH3 and other keto acids that are produced when proteins are metabolized in amino groups from amino acids are removed by the process is known as deamination, which takes place in the liver or other specialized cells of the organism. After being released, the ammonia is subsequently carried to the gills or other excretory organs where it is finally discharged into the water body. Ammonia is highly soluble in water and can permeate through biological membranes. As a result, once discharged in the external environment, it gets diluted by the water, reducing its harmful effects. Hence, in order to eliminate ammonia, ammonotelic organisms need enormous water. Insufficient aqueous medium can cause hazardous ammonia levels to build up, which may cause cellular damage and eventually death of organism in the water body. Children, now let us discuss about advantages of ammonotelism. The advantages of ammonotelism are effective waste elimination, which means ammonia is metabolized quickly and uses little energy, and it does not require specialized organs. Next, energy conservation. Use a little energy to metabolism and is excreted rapidly. Water conservation. Since concentrated urine produced is not required, aquatic habits lose less amount of water. Children, now let us discuss about the disadvantages of ammonotelism. The disadvantages of ammonotelism are toxicity. Ammonia is toxic to the cells, causing cell neurosis. And now let us come to pH imbalance. Since ammonia is a base, it can use alkalosis. Water dependency. The organisms require water to dispose of their waste, thus limiting habitat. Children, now let us look into the ammonotelism examples. Ammonotelism is found in many different taxa, especially in aquatic ecosystem. A few examples are given below. Now let us come to the taxonomic group fishes, examples of catfish and goldfish. Come to amphibians, examples of amphibians are salamander and frogs comes under this ammonotelism. Then crustaceans, molluscs, examples are shrimp and squid. Then aquatic invertebrates, hydra and planaria are comes under the examples of ammonotelism. Children, let us discuss the difference between ammonotelism and urotelism. The main key difference between the ammonotelism and urotelisms are given in the table below. Come to the excretory product of ammonotelism is ammonia and urotelism is urea. Organs comes under this ammonotelism are aquatic organisms and a few terrestrial organisms in moist or damp areas. Come to the urotelism are terrestrial organisms are involved in urotelism, primarily mammals. Next, come to the medium of secretion in ammonotelism is primarily water excreted through diffusion, and come to the medium of excretion in urotelism is urine excreted through specialized organs, example kidneys. Now next come to the energy utilization in ammonotelism are low energy is required for excretion comparatively. Then looks into urotelism, energy utilization requires higher for synthesis and excretion. Then come to the toxicity. Highly toxic and hence it requires water for dilution in ammonotelism, and come to urotelism, toxicity requires less and can be stored and released when required. Water loss. Inaminotilism may lead to significant water loss, and in come to urotilism, it comes under limited water loss. Organs helped. In ammonotilism, mainly gills helps to excretion. When it comes to urotilism, kidneys are responsible for the excretion. Examples already we discussed that fishes, aquatic invertebrates and few terrestrial animals comes under the ammonotilism, and comes to the urotilism, mammals, amphibians and some reptiles comes under this category. Now let us discuss the conclusion of ammonotilism. Ammonotilism is a critical waste disposal mechanism used by many aquatic organisms. They may efficiently eliminate nitrogenous waste material by releasing ammonia in the surrounding water. While ammonotilism has advantages such as energy conservation and efficiency, it also has water reliance and toxicity regulation at disadvantages. Understanding the mechanism and significance of ammonotilism sheds light on adaptation and regulation biological process in living organisms. Children, now let us discuss about urea. Urea is secreted as metabolic waste product in several animals. These creatures are also known as urotilic. The ammonia product by the organisms is transferred to urea in the liver of animals and then released back into the bloodstream. The kidneys filter the urea, which is eventually expelled from the body. To maintain a desired osmolarity in the organism, some urea is maintained in the kidney matrix. Because we excrete urea through urine, humans are urotilic. Apart from that, urea is less poisonous than ammonia. Urotilism classification comes under excretion and elimination of body wastes. To learn more about urotilism, let us study the topic of excretion in detail. Children, first now let us study what is urotilism. According to urotilism definition, urotilic animals are mammals, terrestrial amphibians and marine fish that mostly excrete urea. The liver of these animals converts ammonia produced by metabolism into urea, which is then released into the bloodstream, then filtered and expelled by the kidneys. This is less toxic and less soluble in water than ammonia. Hence, it can stay for some time in the body. Many land vertebrates, adult amphibians, mammals and such aquatic animals which cannot afford to lose much water, lesmobranch fishes, marine bony fish, adult frog, earthworms, nematodes convert their ammonia into urea for excretion. This type of excretion is called urotilic excretion or urotilism. Normal blood urea level is 18 to 38 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood. Children, now let us discuss the composition of urea. Urea is a colorless compound, crystalline in nature, obtained as a result of protein digestion in the form of nitrogenous product. It is formed when proteins produced amino acids post-digestion. These excess amino acids are broken down into ammonia and further into urea by the liver through the urea cycle, since ammonia is more toxic than urea. Chemically, urea consists of nitrogen, oxygen and carbon and is usually found in blood, sweat, urine, etc. in our body. Nitrogen is found in more quantities than any other elements in urea. The urea cycle begins with the deamination in the liver, where amino acids are broken down into ammonia. Ammonia is a toxic substance. Its accumulation in the body could be fatal. Molecules and enzymes present in the liver convert this toxic ammonia into urea. The cycle absorbs one carbon dioxide molecule, then two ammonia molecules, producing a molecule of urea, one molecule of ornithine, for the cycle to continue. The components of excretion in humans including glucose, water, salts and urea. It is carried out by the kidneys via blood filtration at higher pressures. Blood reabsorbs water, salts and glucose but not urea. It is eliminated from the body as a solution which constitutes the urine. The urea cycle disorder can affect the liver ability to detoxify ammonia. Children, now let us discuss about elimination of biological significance. The ability of unicellular and multicellular organisms to dispose of waste into critical to their health and survival. Animals must consume energy containing chemical molecules, extract a portion of the energy to fuel their living functions and dispose of the waste or byproducts produced during the energy extraction process. An internal combustion engine goes through a similar sequence of actions. Fuel, which contains energy, is injected into the engine and burned with some of the energy generated being used to move the pistons. A part of the energy containing material not used in the engine is discharged as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and other combustion by the products much as it is in living cells. The exhaust system is locked. When an engine's exhaust system becomes locked, it loses efficiency and eventually fails. The complete obstruction of waste disposal mechanism in biological system is just as effective as removing food, oxygen or water from the system in terms of killing key activities. Furthermore, some metabolic byproducts are harmful in and of themselves and must be eliminated from living cells at the same rate as they are produced by those cells. As a result, waste products from living cells must be excreted regularly for critical chemical activities to produce normally. Keeping an eye on the metabolic rate, this shows how much ammonotilism and urotilism are important. Children, now let us discuss why should urea be eliminated in the urine. Urea is the most common component of urine and it is excreted with urine. The kidneys are responsible for the excretion of urine and the release of urea. The presence of more urea in the heart or body is related to the failure of the kidneys, which can result in kidney failure, heart attack and other complications. When urea is released outside the body, bacteria and other microorganisms break it down. When it gets in touch with our skin or other body parts, it can cause a variety of ailments such as skin allergies, rashes, itching and burning. Children, now let us discuss what happens if excess of urea accumulates in the body. Urea is hazardous to various organs in the body, both directly and indirectly. Increased synthesis of biological toxins such as indoxyl sulphate and p-crescyl sulphate is caused by a high urea level, and inflammation in the intestinal walls lead to the breakdown of tight intracellular connections. As a result, bacterial toxins enter the bloodstream and cause systematic inflammation, which has been related to renal failure, progression, and cardiovascular calcification directly. Blood arteries, urea includes cell death and calcification directly. Furthermore, high urea levels inhibited fat cells, insulin sensitivity. Patients with chronic kidney illness are more likely to develop prediabetes as a result of their insulin resistance. The indirect toxicity of urea is caused by the irreversible carbamylation of the body proteins, which happens as a result of cyanate export, means a breakdown product of urea. Dialysis patients with evaluate blood carbamylated proteins have a great risk of death. This is the reason why urotilism is so important. Children, now let us discuss about what is urea cycle. The urea cycle's primary goal is to eliminate harmful ammonia from the body. Every day, a healthy adult excretes 10 to 20 grams of ammonia from their body. A faulty urea cycle results in an overabundance of ammonia in the body, which can cause hyperammonia and other disorders. A lack of essential enzymes that crystallize numerous processes in the urea cycle can result in urea cycle diseases. In newborns, urea cycle defects can cause vomiting and convulsions. This is frequently misinterpreted as septicemia and treated ineffectively with antibiotics. Excess ammonia can cause serious irreparable harm to them. Children, now let us discuss what is orthene or urea cycle. The orthene or urea cycle is detoxification of ammonia leads to the consumption of 3 molecules of ATP. This cycle is called orthene urea cycle and it was discovered in 1932 by Chap and Henslett. The cycle involves 5 chemical reactions which are catalyzed by the enzymes. Formation of carboxyl phosphate from carbon dioxide, ATP and ammonia, and enzymes comes under this formation are carboxyl phosphate and synthetize. Next, formation of citrulline form orthene and carboxyl phosphate. Enzymes comes in this orthene carboxyl transferase. Now next come to the formation of arginosuccinic acid from citrulline, aspartic acid and ATP. Enzymes comes in it arginosuccinate synthetase. Now next come to the formation of fumaric acid and argine form arginosuccinic acid. Enzymes comes in the are arginosuccinate lyse. Origin splits into orthene and urea. There are 2 types of waste which can also called metabolic and non-metabolic waste. Let us discuss about them. The difference is whether the compounds in issue are created by a living cell's chemical process or transmitted through an organism's digestive tract without entering its life process. Children, now let us discuss about wastes that are not produced by metabolism. Non-metabolic wastes are primarily indigestible or useless by an organism due to their chemical nature. Non-metabolic wastes are also compressed compounds absorbed, swallowed or otherwise taken into a biological system in excess of the organism's demands and storage capacity. These chemicals include both digestible and indigestible elements and they can be expelled relatively instantly even though they are frequently consumed. Waste products from metabolism. Gas, liquids, solids and heat can all be isolated from metabolic waste. Heat, though not normally categorized as a waste product, should be because it is a byproduct of metabolic activity that must be removed in warm-blooded species to avoid dangerously elevated body temperatures. Children, now come to the conclusion of urea. Both active and passive methods dispose of metabolic and non-metabolic wastes. In general, gaseous wastes are removed using passive mechanisms that do not require the living organisms to expend energy. Higher animal, solid and liquid wastes possesses are active system that filters the trash from important substance before excretion. Specific and non-specific systems can be used to classify disposable methods. Kidneys evaluated as a highly sophisticated waste disposal system in multicellular creatures, and they also regulate the amount of water, salt and organic compounds in the bodies of higher animals. Nitrogenous waste products like ammonia, uric acid, urea, creatinine, creatine and amino acids, excess salts and waters received into the blood and several other organic compounds created by life-sustaining chemical reactions are all removed by the kidneys supporting ureotelism. let us discuss about uric acid. Animals living in dry conditions such as land grasshoppers, most insects, land reptiles like snakes and lizards, birds and kangaroos, rat, mammals, etc. have to conserve water in their bodies. Therefore, they synthesize crystals of uric acid from their ammonia for the formation of uric acid. Xanthine oxidase enzyme is necessary for this process. Uric acid crystals are non-toxic and almost insoluble in water. Hence, this can be retained in the body for a considerable time before being discharged from the body. Uric acid is the main nitrogenous excretory product discharged into the solid form like pellets and paste. This excretion is called uricotilic excretion or uricotelism. Children, now let us discuss about what is uric acid. Humans are uricotelisms, which means the major waste product in our body is urea. Along with urea, uric acid is also a waste generated in our body as a result of digestion and absorption of food that we eat. Food molecules containing purines generate the waste product uric acid in the body. High levels of purines are found in some food products like meat, dried beans, and beverages like beer. Kidneys are the primary organs involved in the process of excretion and are responsible for eliminating wastes in the form of urine from the body. When we consume an excess of purines containing food and our kidneys fail to excrete all amount of uric acid from the body, it leads to the buildup of uric acid in the body. This buildup also takes place in our blood cells and it leads to an abnormal condition known as hyperuricemia. Children, now let us discuss about the symptoms of uric acid. Uric acid is natural waste product which is produced after the digestion of food molecules containing purines from the digestive system. Purines are found in high level in some foods such as meat products, dried beans, beer, etc. Usually, kidneys are involved in the filtering of uric acid and excreting through the urine. If the intake of the purine is more, our body cannot excrete out and gets built up in our blood cells. Has high uric acid levels is known as hyperuricemia. By secreting more uric acid, we'll get kidney diseases like diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, psoriasis, arthritis, gout, and few cancers are certain health diseases caused by the high uric acid levels in our blood cells. Children, now let us discuss the properties of uric acid. Uric acid appearance in white crystals and chemical formula of uric acid is C5H4N4O3. Melting point of uric acid is 300 degrees centigrades. Density of uric acid is 1.87 grams per centimeter square and molar mass of uric acid is 168.1103 grams per mole. Solubility in water is soluble in water. Children, now let us discuss the causes of high uric acid. The high uric acid occurs when the kidneys is unable to eliminate uric acid sufficiently. This can occur due to a number of factors, that is diuretics, hypothyroidism, obesity, alcohol, genetic disorders, renal insufficiency, and niacin. Now let us see the symptoms of uric acid. The symptoms of uric acid more in our body will look like fatigue, dry skin, constipation, swallowing giants, muscle stiffness, kidney disorders, muscles weakness, pain and stiffness in your joints, aches and tenderness of muscles, sudden and severe pain in a particular joint. Children, now let us discuss what is high uric acid. The gout is caused by hyperuricemia. which is high uric acid levels, which can be caused a variety of factors. Diet may play a role. Consumption of dietary purine, high fructose corn syrup, and table sugar can raise uric acid levels. Reduced excretion via the kidneys can cause an increase in serum uric acid. Uric acid levels can be temporarily raised by fasting or rapid weight reducing. By interfering with renal clearance, certain medicines such as thiazide diuretic can raise blood uric acid levels. Let us see the another disease like tumor lysis. Tumor lysis syndrome is a metabolic complication of certain malignancies or chemotherapy that occurs as a result of the release of nucleobase and potassium into the bloodstream. Gout. Gout is a painful condition caused by need-like uric acid crystals precipitating in the joints, capillaries, skin, and other tissues when blood uric acid levels are too high. Gout can be developed when blood uric acid levels are low as 6 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood, but it can also develop when serum uric acid levels are high as 9.6 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood. Purines in humans are converted to uric acid, which is then expelled into the urine. Consumption of purine-rich foods, particularly meat and shellfish, raises the risk of gout. The gout can be caused by eating meats like liver, kidney, and sweetbreads, as well as fish like herrings, sardine, mussels, scallops, trout, haddock, and tuna on a frequent basis. However, a moderate diet of purine-rich foods is not linked to an increased risk of gout. Children, now let us discuss about tumor lysis syndrome in detail. This tumor lysis syndrome, a life-threatening illness caused by blood malignancies, causes elevated uric acid levels in the blood when tumor cells spontaneously or after treatment discharge their contents into the bloodstream. When uric acid crystals forms in the kidneys, tumor lysis syndrome can cause acute renal damage. Hyperhydration to dilute and eliminate uric acid through urine, rasburicase to lower level of purely soluble uric acid in the blood, or allopurinol to prevent purine catabolism from adding to uric acid levels are all potions for treatment. Children, now let us discuss about Lesch-Nyhan syndrome. High serum uric acid levels are also linked to Lesch-Nyhan syndrome, a rare hereditary illness. This syndrome is characterized by spasticity, involuntary movements, cognitive impairment, and gout symptoms. Cardiovascular disease. Hyperuricemia may raise cardiovascular disease risk factors also. They next come to the type 2 diabetes. Hyperuricemia may be also a result of insulin resistance rather than a cause of diabetes. One study found that evaluated serum uric acid was linked to a great risk of type 2 diabetes even when other factors such as obesity, dyslipidemia, and hypertension were taken into account. Hyperuricemia is linked to metabolic syndrome components including in children. Children, now let us discuss about uric acid and stone formation. Deposits of sodium urate microcrystals can cause kidney stones. When uric acid is in the blood reaches saturation levels, the urate crystallizations in the kidney resulting in one type of kidney stone. Because uric acid stones are radiolucent, they do not show up on a plain abdomen X-ray. Uric acid crystals can also act as seed crystals in the production of calcium oxalate stones. Children, now let us discuss about low uric acid. Hyperuricemia, which can also caused by a variety of factors. Low uric acid levels are caused by a lack of zinc in the diet. In women who use oral contraceptives, this effect can be considerably more pronounced. Sevelamer is a medicine used to prevent hyperphosphatemia in persons with chronic kidney failure can lower serum uric acid levels considerably. Children, now let us discuss about multisclerosis. The serum uric acid levels of individuals with multisclerosis were considerably lower than those of healthy controls according to meta-analysis to 10 case control studies, possibly providing a diagnostic biomarker for multiple sclerosis. Children, now let us discuss about the prevention of high uric acid levels. There are many natural ways which can be used to lower the level of uric acids in our body cells, and this includes reducing the weight. Obesity is one of the causes of increased uric acid levels. Then consume low fat dietary. Second one, avoid drinking of alcohol frequently. Drink a lot of water, juices and tea. Keep a check of purine rich food. There are many natural ways which can be used to lower the level of uric acid in our blood cells. This includes avoid or limit that intake of purine rich foods. Drink plenty of water to avoid dehydration. Avoid the use of alcohol. Reduce the intake of sugar in your diet and lot of more. Children, now let's come to the conclusion. Uric acid is a heterocyclic molecule made up of a carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and hydrogen with the formula of C5H4N4O3. Urates and acids, urates such as ammonium acid urate are ions and salts that it creates. Uric acid is produced by the metabolic breakdown of purines nucleotides and it is a common component of urine. Gout is caused by high uric acid levels in the blood, which have also been linked to diabetes and the formation of ammonium acid urate, kidney stones, etc. Children, now let us discuss about human excretory system. Excretory system is one of the most important system in the human body which performs secretion via waste discharge and elimination of toxins from the body. The human excretory system consists of some organs. Children, let us study what is human excretion. Excretion is a very important process for the human body. Everything that we consume in our body is removed with the help of excretion. After the intake of food, all the useful substance and nutrients are absorbed by the body, and the rest of the waste which may be harmful to the body is removed with the help of excretory organs present in the body. The human excretory system consists of a urinary bladder, a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters and a urethra. All these organs work together to remove the metabolic wastes from the body. Children, now let us discuss about organs of the human excretory system. A pair of kidneys is the main organ of the excretory system and it is located on either side of the spine. Kidneys are bean-shaped structures that have an inner concave side. It is made up of a very small functional units called nephrons. The blood goes into the kidneys with the help of renal arteries and leaves through renal veins. Kidneys are divided into three regions, namely renal cortex, renal medulla and renal pelvis. The renal cortex is the outer layer, the renal medulla is the inner layer and the renal pelvis is the one carrying the urine from the kidneys to the ureter. The kidneys produce urine, which is a liquid solution of the waste material and toxins of the body. It also has uric acid and urea. When purines are broken down into the body, uric acid is produced. Purines are present in the body and are natural substance. Urea is produced by the amino acid breakdown in the liver. Children, now let us discuss the structure of kidney. First, let us discuss about capsule. The outer layer of the kidney is called capsule. The kidney contains two zones, outer zones which are called the cortex and the inner zone which is called the medulla. The capsule, also known as renal capsule, is a thin membranous sheet that covers the outside of each kidney. It's made up of a tough fibers, mainly collagen and elastin, which helps to support the kidney mass and protect vital tissues from injury. Children, now let us discuss the structure of nephron. Nephron is the basic functional unit of kidneys that consists of glomerulus and its associated tubules through which the glomerular filtrate passes before it emerges as urine. Let us go through the structure and function of the nephron and learn more in detail about the parts of the nephron and the role of renal tubule in urine formation and excretion process. Children, let us discuss now what is nephron. A nephron is the basic structural and functional unit of the kidney. They are the microscopic structure composed of renal corpuscle and renal tubule. The word nephron is derived from the Greek word nephrons, meaning kidney. There are about millions of nephrons in each human kidney. Children, let us study the structure of nephron. The mammalian nephron is a long tube-like structure, its length varying from 35 to 55 millimeters long. At the end, the tube is closed, folded and expanded into a double-walled, a cup-like structure called the Bowman's capsule or renal corpuscular capsule, which encloses a cluster of microscopic blood vessels called the glomerulus. This capsule and glomerulus together constitute the renal corpuscle. Children, the structure of nephron comprises two major portions. First one is renal tubule, second one is renal corpuscle. Renal tubule. The renal tubule is a long and convoluted structure that emerges from the glomerulus and can be divided into three parts based on function. The first part is called the proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. Due to its proximity to the glomerulus, it stays in the renal cortex. The second part is called loops of Henle or nephritic loop because it forms a loop with descending and ascending limbs that goes through the renal medulla. The third part of the renal tubule is called the distal convoluted tubule, DCT, and this part is also restricted to the renal cortex. The capillaries of the glomerulus are enclosed by a cup-like structure called Bowman's capsule. This structure extends to form highly colloid tubules called PCT. PCT continues to form the loop of Henle which ascends to DCT, which in turn opens into the collecting duct. The major function of tubule is reabsorption and process can either be through active transport or passive transport. In addition, secretions by tubules help in the urine formation without affecting the electrolyte balance of the body. Children, now let us discuss in detail about the function of proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. The blood brought by the renal artery is filtered by the glomerulus and then passed to the PCT. Maximum reabsorption takes place in PCT of the nephrons. The PCT is the region of renal tubule where reabsorption of essential substances like glucose, proteins, amino acids, a major portion of electrolytes and water takes place. The surface area of reabsorption is facilitated by the lining of simple cuboidal epithelium in them. Reabsorption takes place at the expense of energy, that is, the process is active. PCT selectively secretes ions such as hydrogen, ammonia and potassium into the filtrate and absorbs HCO3 from it. Thus, PCT maintains the electrolyte and acid-base balance of the body fluids. Henle loop. The Henle loop has a descending and ascending limb. Being part of the same loop, both the descending and ascending limbs show different permeability. The ascending limb is permeable to water but impermeable to an electrolyte, while the ascending limb is permeable to electrolytes but impermeable to water. Since the electrolytes gets reabsorbed at the ascending loop of Hensley, the filtrate gets diluted as it moves towards the ascending limb, but reabsorption is limited in this segment. Children, now let us discuss about distal convoluted tubule, DCT. The DCT, which is the last part of the nephron, connects and empties its contents into collecting ducts that line the medullary pyramids. The collecting duct, a mass contents from multiple nephrons and fuse together as they enter the papilla of the renal medulla. Similarly to PCT, DCT also secretes ions such as hydrogen, potassium, and NH3 into the filtrate while reabsorbing the HCO3 from the filtrate. Conditional reabsorption of sodium ions and water takes place in DCT. It maintains the pH and sodium potassium levels in the blood cells. Children, now let us discuss about collecting duct. Collecting duct is a long straight tube where H plus and K plus ions are secreted to maintain the electrolyte balance of the blood. This is also the reason where the maximum reabsorption of water takes place to produce concentrated urine. Children, now let us discuss about renal corpuscle. The renal corpuscle consists of a glomerulus surrounding by a Bowman's capsule. The glomerulus arises from an efferent arteriole and empties into an efferent arteriole. The smaller diameter of an efferent arteriole helps to maintain high blood pressure in the glomerulus. Come to Bowman's capsule. The Bowman's capsule is divided into three layers. The outer parietal layer, it is made up of epithelial cells with minute pores of diameter 12 nm. Middle basement membrane. This layer is selectively permeable. Inner visceral layer. It consists of a large nucleated cells called podocytes which bear finger-like projections called podocele. Children, now let us discuss about types of nephrons. There are two types of nephrons. First one is called cortical nephron. The cortical nephrons are present within the cortex. They are short and compress about 80% of the total nephrons. Next come to maxillary nephrons. These have long loops of Hensley and extend into the medulla. These are about 20%. Children, now let us discuss the difference between cortical nephrons and medullary nephrons. Cortical nephrons found in cortex and come to the medullary nephrons found at the function of renal cortex and medulla. These cortical nephrons again they have relatively short loop of Hensley, and come to maxillary nephrons they have long loop of Hensley and vasa recta. Then come to the cortical nephrons. Under normal water level conditions, this nephrons deals with the control of blood volume, and come to the medullary nephrons are in case of deficient water supply, increases water retention occurs through this nephron. Children, now let us discuss the functions of nephrons. The primary function of the nephron is removing all waste products including solid wastes and other excess water from the blood, converting blood into the urine, reabsorption, secretion and excretion of numerous substances. As the blood passes through the glomerulus, with high pressure, the small molecules are removed into the glomerular capsules and travel through a winding series of tubules. The cells present in each tube absorb different molecules excluding the glucose, water and other beneficial molecules which are called as the ultrafiltrate. As the ultrafiltrate molecules travel down to the tubules, they become more and more hypertonic, which result in more amount of water to be extracted from the ultrafiltrate before it exits the nephron. The blood surrounding the nephron travels back into the blood through the renal blood vessels which are free of toxins and other excess substance. The obtained ultrafiltrate is urine which travels down via the collecting duct to the bladder where it will be stored and released throughout the urethra. Children, let us discuss the conclusion. Excretion in human beings takes place through lungs, skin, liver, the kidneys are the main organs of human excretory system. They are bean-shaped organs which weigh between 150 to 170 grams and their length ranges from 4 to 5 inches long. The kidneys are located in the retroperitoneal space in the abdominal cavity just below the rib cage and present in the opposite direction or facing each other on both the left and right side of the body. The right kidney is slightly smaller and lower than the left kidney. Compared to males, the total area, size and the weight of the kidneys are smaller in females. Therefore, both male and female should be careful during their kidney transplantation. Children, come to the major functions of the kidneys. The major function of the kidneys are maintaining the body's pH, reabsorption of nutrients, regulates the body blood pressure, excretion of waste from the body, removal of excess fluid from the body, secrete hormones that help in the production of red blood cells, acid regulation, etc. The functional unit of kidney is the nephron. Each kidney consists of millions of nephrons which play a significant role in the filtration and purification of blood. The nephron is divided into two portions, namely the glomerulus and the renal tubule, and helps in the removal of excess waste from the body. Children, let us discuss about ureters. Ureter, the toxin remover. Urine is produced by the kidneys by removing toxins or excess fluids from the bloodstream. Fluid is passed throughout the body as waste via two narrow channels known as ureters. The length of ureter ranges from 8 to 10 inches. Muscles in the bladder membranes tense and relax to push waste slightly out to the renal. Then 10 to 20 seconds, tiny volumes of pee are produced through the ureters into the bladder. In some instances, the urine from the kidneys could get clogged or damaged. It could obstruct the passage of pee to the bladder. Urinary illness can occur if pee remains stagnant the ureter. Children, now let us discuss what is ureter. The ureter is the conduct that transport urine through the kidneys into the urinary bladder. There are two ureters, one of each renal. The top section of the ureter is found in the belly, while the bottom end is found in the pelvis. You can easily understand it with the help of a ureter diagram. In adult individual, the length of ureter is around 10 to 12 inches long. The pipe has robust borders that may flex, and those are made up of fibers, muscles and mucus coating. One must not forget the fact that there is a difference between the ureter and the urethra. The ureter function of duplication is a hereditary disorder wherein both ureters originate from the very solely organ. Uretropelvic junction impairments happens at the time that link connecting the renal as well as the ureter is obstructed, preventing a pee from escaping the renal. Blocking of a uretrovesical node whenever the link connecting the urethra and the bladder is obstructed. If either of this happens, urinary flows is obstructed, which can lead to acute renal failure, swelling in the kidney or renal calcification. Therapeutic options include inserting a catheter, a difference and particular pipe, a shunt, a device that keeps conducts or pipe intact. Amputations, medicines can be frequently recommended when an abnormality is discovered. Physicians employ a variety of methods to detect ureteral problems. Urine samples, X-rays and cytoscope inspection of its ureter are among them. The underlying cause of the diseases determines the medication. This could be include drugs as well as in extreme cases and as surgeries. Children, let us discuss the functions of ureter. The ureter functions are as follows. The urine from the kidney is a component of urinary tract that filters fluids, and excess fluids are residual waste. The job of the urinary system in the producer is to transport pee from the renal to the urinary bladder. Urethral motions push wastewater away from the kidneys and via the urethra. The urine from the kidney is always in motion, discharging pee into the bladder every 10 to 20 seconds. The kidneys not only eliminate toxins through the system, but they also actively maintain liquids, produce chemicals to damage heart rate, and govern the saturn of RBC, which is the uterus function. The urethra, like the uterus, is a muscle located in the area that expands expel waste. A typical human urethra could contain roughly 2 cups of water. Children, let us discuss the constructions of ureter. The ureter parts have a size of 3 millimeters with a total number of 3 constructions of ureter that are the most pre-relevant locations of kidney blockage. The kidney pelvic as well as the ureter's pelvic ureteric junctions PUG. When the ureters enters the pelvic area or passes across the superficial inguinal artery, it splits. When the ureters joins the pelvic membrane, laterally at the vesico-ureteric junction PUG. Children, now let us discuss the difference between ureter and urethra. The fundamental difference between the ureter and the urethra would be that the ureter empties pee through the kidneys into the urinary bladder, while the urethra empties fluid towards the exterior of the human being. Children, let us discuss some facts of ureter. Light straw or clear urine with a yellowish tint is perfectly appropriate. Extra hydration is essential if your pee is dark yellowish or caramel colored. A deeper dark color can suggest an issue with an organ or acute exhaustion. Reddish brown or red pee can indicate internal bleeding. Related disorders. Ureteral problems may be inherited or acquired as a consequence of an accident or illness. Whenever the passage of pee from the kidneys to the urinary bladder is disrupted, urethral issues ensure. Renal inflammation may occur if pee does not flow out of the kidney. Children, now let us discuss about urinary bladder. The sac-like structure is the place where all the urine is stored. The urinary bladder is a delicate organ of our body which serves the function of storing urine or waste fluids that come out of the kidneys. It is a vital organ that can cause trouble like a stone in the urinary bladder when not taken a proper care of it. It's situated at the pelvis near the pubic bone. It is a sac-like structure that facilitates the flow of the urine through expansion and contraction. We shall focus on the structure of the urinary bladder through a urinary bladder diagram and also try to understand its various parts. Children, let us discuss in detail about what is urinary bladder. The urinary bladder is the part of the urinary system that is connected with the removal of waste products from the body through the medium of urine and that facilitation of blood purification. It is somewhat triangular and has a halo within itself to allow urine storage. Its features are: urinary bladder capacity has an average capacity of 500 ml, which can vary from individual to individual. Let's come to contraction and expansion. The muscle in the bladder contract and expand according to the need to facilitate retention or excretion. Storage time. Generally, a person can hold urine for 5 hours. With more practice, it can extend to 7 to 8 hours. However, it is not advisable to do so. Location. It is located in the lower abdomen near to the pubic bone. Children, now let us discuss parts and structure of urinary bladder. The urinary bladder has the following parts and structure. The transitional epithelium layer. This is the initial stage that surrounds the inside of the bladder. This lining tends to expand when the bladder is filled with urine. Lamina propria. Lamina propria has now ending adipocytes, fibrocytes and interstitial cells. They jointly excrete a matrix. Now next come to the another part, muscularis propria layer. It is elastic like a muscle which is also known as a dystrocer. It is thick and smooth and is situated beside the lamina propria. The other parts including perivesical tissue that is composed of fat and blood vessels. It acts as a segregation between the bladder and kidneys. The tubes of ureter and are attached to the bladder directly. Moreover, the bladder consists of sphincters of two types which act as valves to control the urine flow. The dystrocer muscles act to contract them during important situations like continence. If you want to have a clearer view of the structure of the urine bladder, take a look at the urinary bladder diagram. Stone in urinary bladder. Sometimes minerals of urine can start to form a stone inside the bladder. Under inadequate care, they crystallize inside and disrupt the regular flow of urine, thereby causing extreme pain. A major symptom is the inability to urinate. Some other symptoms of having a stone in the urinary bladder are severe to moderate pain in low abdomen, painful urination, blood in urine, extreme discomfort during urination, peculiar colored urine that is generally dark. Smaller stones can be treated with medicines. However, when the stones grow out of control, an operation is the only way out. These stones can be prevented by consuming adequate and clean water every day. Additionally, one should not control urine for extreme durations for a long time. Urethra. Urethra, it is a tube-like structure that arises from the urinary bladder. The urine comes out of the body finally through this. In males, this is common path for sperms and urine. We can understand the urethra as the thin tube or a duct that interlinks the urinary bladder to the urine meatus so that urine can pass out from both males and females. The urethra function is only for urinating in females, but males use this urethra for ejaculation and urination. In other words, the male urethra transports both urine and semen. The female urethra is about 1 to 5 inches long and the female urethra is long as penis, through 7 to 8 inches in length. The urethra is held by the urethral sphincter, a muscular structure that helps keep urine in the bladder until voiding can occur. Now that we have touched the base of the urethra function, let us dovetail into its other nitty and gritty. Urinary bladder, a sac-like structure which stores urine temporarily. The urinary bladder has two parts, body and trigone. Body is made up of involuntary muscles which is called dystrocer muscle, and trigone is a triangular part. There are two sphincters on the lower end of trigone. Internal sphincter made up of unstraighted muscles, external sphincter made up of straighted muscles. Urinary bladder has capacity of 700 to 800 ml. When it is filled up to 300 to 400 ml of urine, then stretch receptors present on the walls of urinary bladders are stimulated and impulse is formed. This impulse is carried out to spinal segments through pelvic nerve. Parasympathetic nerve fibers are excited and contraction in dystrocer muscle and relax in internal sphincter occurs. This causes urine to come out called micturition. Lower part of the urinary bladder is joined with urethra. The primary urethra function is to let the urine pass from the bladder out of the body. It happens when the brain tells the bladder that it is time to squeeze and the sphincter muscles relax, releasing the urine through the urethra. Likewise, the exact mechanism is also used in case of male ejaculation during copulation. When male ejaculate, the sperm is carried throughout the urethra. The Primordial differences between urination and ejaculation is that in the latter, instead of the brain, bladder, sphincter muscles communicating, when men have nerves in the spinal cord, vast differences, seminal vesicles, and prostate that work in conjunctions to close the opening of the bladder. They work together to enable the semen to move down the penis and through the urethra. Let us explore the anatomy of the urethra. Urethra anatomy. Come to discuss about male urethra. It is divided into 4 parts as per the location. The first part is the pre-prostatic urethra. It is the main intramural part of the male urethra, engulfed by the urethral sphincter and ranges from 0.5 and to 1.5 centimeters in length, depending upon the fullness of the bladder. After that, we have the prostatic urethra. It starts at the neck of the bladder and it is located in prostate. It is the widest part of the urethra and it is surrounded by the sphincter muscle that holds the urine until its due time. After that, the spongy urethra makes up the bottom portion of the urethra, which has several subdivisions like the bulbous and penile urethra. The penile urethra is the most extended section of the urethra and runs from the urogenital diaphragm to the penis top. It is noteworthy to highlight that all the parts of male urethra have their supply to arteries that facilitate blood flow. The prostatic urethra utilizes the inferior vesical artery. That membranous urethra uses the artery located at the penis bulb. The spongy urethra utilizes the pudendal artery found deep in the pelvis. Now let us discuss about female urethra. To begin with, the female urethra anatomy is far more straightforward than its male counterpart. The female urethra covers less distance and hence it is less complex. It starts at the bladder and parallels along with the pelvic floor. It opens onto the perineum after passing through the sphincter muscle. The female urethra comprises 3 layers: muscular, rectile and mucus layer. The female urethra, as we have already mentioned, is about 4 centimeters long, exits between the clitoris and the vagina and extends from the internal to the external urethral orifice. Human urethra. To begin with, the length of the urethra varies across genders. The length of female urethra is usually around 4 to 5 centimeters as we discussed earlier, whereas the male urethra is 20 centimeters or longer. The job of the female urethra is solely to facilitate urination. On the contrary, the responsibility of male urethra is urination and ejaculation. The voluntary control associated with urination comes from the striated muscles known as the external ureter sphincter. The urethral cancer is a rare cancer type found only among 1 or 2 people diagnosed with cancer. Children, now let us discuss about urine formation. Urea formation occurs in liver through ornithine cycle or Krebs-Henselt cycle. From this synthesis of 1 molecule of urea, 3 ATP are consumed. 1 molecule of urea is formed by the 2 molecules of ammonia and 1 molecule of CO2. 1 molecule of ammonia comes from deamination of fat and other molecules of ammonia comes from aspartic acid. Urine formation. Urine formation involves mainly in 3 processes, that is glomerular filtration and ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption and secretion. Let us discuss ultrafiltration. The first step in urine formation is the filtration of blood, which is carried out by the glomerulus and it is called glomerular filtration. On an average, 1100 to 1200 ml of blood is filtered by the kidneys per minute, which constitute roughly 1/5 of the blood pumped out by each ventricle of the heart in a minute. The glomerular capillary blood pressure causes filtration of blood through three layers, that is the endothelium of glomerular blood vessels, the epithelium of Bowman's capsule, and a basement membrane between these two layers. Blood is filtered so finely through these membranes that almost all the constituents of the plasma except the proteins pass on to the lumen of the Bowman's capsule. Therefore, it is considered as a process of ultrafiltration. The plasma fluid that filters out of the glomerulus capillaries into the Bowman's capsule of nephrons, and it is called glomerular filtrate. It is a non-colloidal part of possesses urea, water, glucose, amino acids, vitamins, fatty acids, uric acid, creatinine, toxins, salts, etc. RBC, WBC, platelets and plasma proteins are the colloidal part of the blood and do not get filtered out from glomerulus. Glomerulus filtrate is isotonic to blood plasma. Children, let us discuss about what is EFP. EFP means effective filter pressure, or we can also call net filter pressure. This net filter pressure is glomerular blood hydrostatic pressure minus the colloidal osmotic pressure of blood and capsular hydrostatic pressure. Children, now let us see what is glomerular blood hydrostatic pressure, which is also called GBHP. GBHP is the force that a fluid under pressure excretes against the walls of its container. Now let us say what is blood colloidal osmotic pressure, which is also called BCOP. BCOP is the osmotic pressure created in the blood of glomerular capillaries due to plasma proteins, albumin, globulin and fibrin. It resists the filtration of fluid from the capillaries. Now children, let us discuss what is capsular hydrostatic pressure. CHP is the pressure caused by fluid that reaches into Bowman's capsule and resists filtration. The amount of filtration formed by the kidneys per minute is called glomerular filtration rate, GFR. There is a sexual difference. In male the rate is about 120 to 125 milliliters per minute, that is 180 liters per day, and in females that is 110 milliliters per minute. GFR is affected by volume of circulating blood, neural activity, stretch response to pressure of the walls of the arteriole. 180 liters of filtrate is performed per day. Out of it, only 1.5 liters of urine is produced per day, which is 0.8% of the total filtrate. About 1250 milliliters of blood circulates through kidneys each minute, and of this blood about 670 milliliters is the plasma. The later it is called renal plasma, RPF. The renal plasma ratio is as below. Filtration fraction is equal to GFR, which is also called glomerular filtration rate, by renal plasma flow is equal to 120 by 670, that is equal to 0.17. The kidneys have built-in mechanism for the regulation of glomerular filtration rate. One such efficient mechanism is carried out by the extraglomerular apparatus, JGA. JGA is a special sensitivity region formed by cellular modification in the distal convoluted tubule and the afferent arteriole at the location of their contact. A fall in GFR can activate the JC cells to release renin, which can stimulate the glomerular blood flow and thereby GFR back to the normal. Children, now let us discuss about selective reabsorption. Reabsorption is a process due to which the useful constituents of the glomerular filtrate are returned into the bloodstream. The tubular epithelium cells in different segments of nephron perform this either by active or passive mechanisms, depend on the type of molecule being reabsorbed. During urine formation, the tubular cells secrete substance like KH+, H+, and ammonia into the filtrate. Tubular secretion is also an important step in the urine formation as it helps in the maintenance of ionic and acid base balance of body fluids. Most of the reabsorption takes place within the proximal convoluted tubule. Water and urea are reabsorbed by the passive transport by which they move from regions of higher concentrations of regions to lower concentrations. Water is reabsorbed by osmosis and urea by simple diffusion. Water is absorbed in all parts of tubule except the ascending loop of Hensley. Glucose and amino acids are reabsorbed by active transport. The reabsorption of Na+ occurs by both passive and active transport. Children, now let us discuss about secretion. DCT and collecting tubules constitute the area of tubular secretion. It is active secretion or secretion of waste products from blood capillaries and intestinal fluid into lumen of nephron. It is the opposite of tubular reabsorption. The urine is formed in the nephron by a combination of glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Children, once again discuss in detail about the functions of tubules. Proximal convoluted tubule PCT, which already we discussed that it involves reabsorption by active transport, which is mainly due to a large surface area, a numerous mitochondria, and closeness of blood capillaries. Nearly all the essential nutrients and 70 to 80% of electrolytes and water are reabsorbed by this segment. PCT also helps to maintain the pH and ionic balance of the body fluids by selective secretion of hydrogen ions, ammonia, and potassium ions into filtrate and by absorption of HCO3 from it. Reabsorption in Hensley loop is minimum. This region plays a significant role in the maintenance of high osmolarity of medullary interstitial fluid. The descending limb of the loop of Hensley is permeable to water but almost impermeable to electrolytes. This concentrates the filtrate as it moves down. Conditional reabsorption of Na+ and water takes place in the distal convoluted tubule. DCT is also capable of reabsorption of HCO3 and selective secretion of hydrogen and potassium ions and NH3 to maintain the pH and sodium potassium balance in blood. Collecting duct extends from the cortex of the kidney to the inner parts of the medulla. Large amount of water could be reabsorbed from this region to produce a concentrated urine. This segment allows passage to small amounts of urea into the medullary interstitium to keep us osmolarity. It also plays a role in the maintenance of pH and ionic balance of blood by the selective secretion of H+ and K+ ions. Children, now let us discuss the mechanism of concentration of the filtrate. A counter current mechanism is the process due to which the urine is made hypertonic. Zootomaxillary nephrons are important in counter current mechanism. It is the exchange of Na+ ions between the two limbs of loop of Hensley and those of vasa recta, means capillary parallel to Hensley loop. The filtrate gets concentrated as it moves down the descending limb but is diluted by the ascending limb. Electrolytes and urea are retained in the interstitium by this arrangement. DCT and collecting duct concentrate the filtrate about 4 times, that is from 300 milliliters to 1200 milliliters, and excellent mechanism of conservation of water. Children, now let us discuss about vasa recti. These are blood vessels running parallel to loop of Hensley, forming a counter current system in zutta medullary nephrons. There are the continuation of efferent arterioles. The flow of blood flow of vasa rectia is responsible for maintaining the hyperosmolality of interstitium. Children, now let us discuss the regulation of kidney function. The hypothalamus, JGA, and a certain extent, the heart regulate the function of the kidneys by hormonal feedback mechanism. Osmoreceptors in the body are activated by changes in blood volume, body fluid volume, and ionic concentration. An excessive loss of fluid from the body can activate these receptors, which stimulate the hypothalamus to release antidiuretic hormone vasopressin from the neurohypophysis. ADH increases water reabsorption by the distal tubule and collecting tubule, thereby preventing diuresis. An increase in body fluid volume can switch off the osmoreceptors and suppresses the ADH releases to complete the feedback. The ADH can also affect the kidney function by its constrictory effects on the blood vessels. This causes an increase in blood pressure. An increase in blood pressure can increase the glomerular blood flow and they can by GFR. Dehydration results in an increase in ADH, while water insufficient results in low ADH, allowing for diluted urine. Alcohol inhibits the secretion of ADH and thus increase water loss. Due to deficiency of ADH, a disease called diabetes insipidus is caused, in which the output of urine weight reaches 3 to 40 liters per day in place of normal 1.2 to 1.8 liter per day. The JGA plays a complex regulatory role in renin angiotensin mechanism. A fall in glomerular blood flow, glomerular blood pressure, GFR, can activate the GG cells to release renin. An increase in blood flow to the atria of the heart can cause the release of atrial natriuretic factor. A and F can cause vasodilation, means distillation of blood vessels, and thereby decrease the blood pressure. ANF mechanism therefore act as a check on the renin anti-angiotensin mechanism. Children, now let us discuss the summary of events occurring in a nephron. Children, first we will look into the materials transferred in traces, nephrons region, process involved, and mechanism. Come to the material transferred in traces like glucose, amino acids, protein, albumin, vitamins, hormones, Na+, K+, magnesium 2, Ca+, H2O, HCO3, urea, uric acid, certamine, and ketone bodies are transferred in traces. And these are transferred in nephron region like Bowman's capsule, and process involved as glomerular filtration, and mechanism is ultrafiltration. Then come to the glucose, amino acids, hormones, vitamins, Na+, K+, Mg+2, Ca+2. Observe in the region of proximal convoluted tubule, and process involved in reabsorption, and mechanism is active transport. Then come to Cl. This is the region which we can observe in proximal convoluted tubule, and process involved in reabsorption, and mechanism is passive transport. Come to the water. Water we can see in the region of proximal convoluted tubule, and we can see the process involved in reabsorption, and mechanism is osmosis. Come to the material transfer traces in urea R. We can observe this in the region of proconvoluted tubule, and process involved in reabsorption, and mechanism is diffusion. Come to H2O. It is we can observe this in the region of nephron called as narrow region of descending limb of Hensley, and process involved is reabsorption, and mechanism is osmosis. Then come to the material transferred in traces like Na+, K+, Mg+2, Ca+2, Cl-. We can see these are in the region of nephrons like ascending limb of Hensley, and process involved as reabsorption, and mechanism is diffusion. Then come to the material transferred in traces like inorganic ions as wide part of ascending limb of Hen's loop, and the process involved in reabsorption and mechanism is active transport. Then come to the H2O. We can see the reason in nephrons as a distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct, etc., and process involved in reabsorption with ADH, and mechanism is osmosis. Then come to the material transferred in traces like Na+. We can see this reason in distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct, collecting tubule, etc., and process involved Na+ is reabsorption with aldosterone, help reabsorption, secretion, and mechanism is active transport. Then come to urea, the last part of collecting duct, reabsorption with aldosterone, help secretion and diffusion. Next come to the material transfers in traces like creatinine, hypuric acid, foraging substance, and we can see the reason in proximal convoluted tubule, and the reason process involved in reabsorption with aldosterone, help secretion, and mechanism is active transport. K+ and H+, again we can say distal convoluted tubule, process involved in reabsorption with aldosterone, help secretion, and mechanism is active transport. Next come to NH3, distal convoluted tubule, process involved in reabsorption with the aldosterone, help secretion, and mechanism involved in diffusion. Next come to the urea. We can see urea in the region of nephron is ascending limb of Hen's loop, thin pair, process involved in reabsorption of aldosterone, help secretion, and mechanism is diffusion. Children, now let us discuss about mixturation. Human kidneys can produce urine nearly 4 times concentrated than the initial filtrate form. The process of release of urine is called mixturation, and the neural mechanism causing it is called the mixturation reflex. An adult human exists on an average of 1 to 1.5 liters of urine per day. Mixturation is involuntary in a rabbit and children up to 2 years, while it is involuntary in adult human. Abdominal muscles and diaphragm helps in mixturation. The urine is light yellow colored watery fluid which is slightly acidic and has characteristic odor. The yellow color of urine is caused by pigment urochrome, which is breakdown of product of hemoglobin from worn out RBC. On an average, 25 to 30 grams of urea is excreted out per day. The urine on standing gives a pungent smell. It is due to conversion of urea into ammonia by bacteria, hence like alkaline. Presence of glucose and ketone bodies in urine are indicate of diabetes mellitus. Children, now let us discuss the role of other organs in excretion. Other than kidneys, lungs, liver and skin also help in elimination of excretory waste. Our lungs remove large amount of CO2 and also significant quantities of water every day. Liver, the largest gland in our body, secretes bile containing substance like bilirubin, biliverdin, cholesterol, degraded steroid hormones, vitamins and drugs. Most of this substance ultimately passes out along with the digestive wastes. The sweat and sebaceous glands in the skin can eliminate certain substance through their secretion. Sweat produced by sweat glands is a watery fluid, NaCl, small amounts of urea, lactic acid, etc. Through the primary function of sweat is to facilitate a cooling effect on the body surface. It also helps in the removal of some of the waste mentioned above. The sebaceous glands eliminate certain substances like sterols, hydrocarbons and waxes through sebum. This secretion provides a protective oily covering for the skin. Do you know that small amounts of nitrogenous wastes could be eliminated through saliva too? Children, let us discuss the disorders of excretory system. Malfunctioning of kidneys can lead to accumulation of urea in blood, a condition called uremia. It is slightly harmful and may lead to kidney failure. Children, let us see what is kidney failure or renal failure. The kidney failure or renal failure is the loss of kidney ability to excrete wastes, concentrate urine, and conserve electrolytes. The first kidney transplantation was done in 1954 in Boston and Paris. The transplantation was done between identical twins to eliminate any problems of an immune reaction. Now let us see another kidney disorder is renal calculi. Renal calculi are stone or insoluble mass of crystallized salts formed within the kidneys due to dehydration, excess uric acid formation, excess calcium intake, etc. Now next come to the another kidney disorder which is also called glomerulonephritis. Is the inflammation of glomeruli of kidney. Now let us discuss about pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis is an inflammation of renal pelvis, calcaneus and interstitial tissue. It is due to a local bacterial infection. Bacteria reach here via urethra and ureter. Inflammation affects the counter current mechanism and the victim fails to concentrate urine. Symptoms of disease includes pain in the back and frequent painful urination. Cystitis. Cystitis is the inflammation of urinary bladder. It is caused by bacterial infection. Patient has frequent painful urination, often with burning sensation. Children, now let us discuss about artificial kidney. Artificial kidney, also called hemodialyzer, is a machine that is used to filter the blood of a person whose kidneys are damaged. This process is called hemodialysis. It may be defined as the separation of small molecules from a large molecules in a solution by interposing a semi-permeable membrane between the solution and water. It works on the principles of dialysis, that is diffusion of solute molecules through a semi-permeable membrane. Hemodialyzer is a cellophane tube suspended in a salt water solution of some composition as the normal blood plasma, except that no urea is present. Blood of the patient is pumped through one of the arteries into the cellophane tube. After boiling it to 0 degrees centigrade and mixing with an anticoagulant heparin, pores of the cellophane tube allow urea and uric acid, creatinine, excess salts and excess H plus ions to diffuse from the blood into the surrounding solution. The blood has purified is warmed to body temperature, checked to ensure that it is isotonic to the patient's blood and mixed with an antiheparin to restore its normal clotting power. It is then pumped into vein of the patient. Plasma proteins remain in the blood and the pores of cellophane are too small to permit the passage of their large molecules. The use of artificial kidney involves a good deal of discomfort and risk of the formation of blood clots. It may cause fever, anaphylaxis, cardiovascular problems and hemorrhage. Children, now let us discuss the summary of human excretory system or elimination and body fluids. Many nitrogen contain substances like ions, CO2, water, etc. that accumulate in the body have to be eliminated. Nature of nitrogenous waste formed and in their excretion vary among animals, mainly depending on the habitat. Ammonia, urea and uric acid are the major nitrogenous wastes excreted. Protonephridia, nephridia and Malpighian tubules, greenlands and their kidneys are the common excretory organs in animals. They not only eliminate nitrogenous wastes but also help in the maintenance of ionic and acid-base balance of the body fluids. In humans, the excretory system consists of one pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, a pair of urinary bladder and urethra. Each kidney has over 1 million of tubular structures called nephrons. Nephron is a functional unit of the kidney and has two portions. One is glomerulus and second one is renal tubule. Glomerulus is a tuft of capillaries formed from efferent arterioles, fine branches of renal artery. The renal tubule starts with a double-walled Bowman's capsule and it is further differentiated into proximal convoluted tubule, PCT, encelope, HL, and distal convoluted tubule DCT. The DCT of many nephrons joins to a common collecting duct, many of which ultimately open into renal pelvics through the medullary pyramids. The Bowman's capsule encloses the glomerulus to form Malpighian or renal corpuscle. Urine formation involves three main steps, that is filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. Filtration is non-selective process performed by the glomerulus using glomerular capillary blood pressure. About 1200 ml of blood is filtered by the glomerulus per minute to form 125 milliliters of filtrate in Bowman's capsule per minute. JGA is a specialized portion of the nephrons, plays significant roles in the regulation of GFR. Nearly 99% of reabsorption of the filtrate takes place through different parts of the nephrons. PCT is the major site of reabsorption and selective secretion. HL primarily helps to maintain osmolar gradient within the kidney interstitium. The DCT and collecting duct allows extensive reabsorption of water and certain electrolytes which help in osmoregulation. H+, K+, and NH3 could be secreted in the filter by the tubules to maintain the ionic balance and pH of the body fluids. A counter current mechanism operates between the two limbs of loop of Hensley and those of vasa recta. The filter gets concentrated and it moves down to the descending limb, but it is diluted by ascending limb. Electrolytes and urea are retained in the interstitium by these arrangements. DCT and collecting ducts concentrate the filtrate about 4 times, that is from 300 milliliters to 1200 milliliters, an excellent mechanism of conservation of water. Urine is stored in urinary bladder till a voluntary signal from CNS carries out, it releases through urethra, that is micturition. Skin, lungs, and liver also assist in excretion.